Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new week, Valentine's Day week, that is, and welcome to a brand new edition of what I like to call. I am the host of Vegan You Believe in Conscious Kurt, aka the Professor in the flesh, as always. And here on For the Birds, I like to talk about different forms of negative and toxic behavior, the effects it has on us and our mental health, and what we can do to have a better understanding of it and more control over it in order to have a better quality of our lives going forward. So this week I have a special guest with me again today. He's been a avid guest on this show over the last few months, but he is back again today, and he is co-founder of the restaurant 416, current bartender at the restaurant Veganized in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and also a battle rap extraordinaire and my best friend of 22 years. He is the one, the only L Rachmani. What is going on, my brother?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Nice having you. Nice being here. Thank you for the grand introduction. It was very
Always.
flattering. What's going on, Kurt?
It's going well, man. Just a nice day out here in the ATL after a few shitty days, so I'm grateful for that. I'm here talking with you. We're going to get into some Valentine's Day type stuff, the pros and cons of being single and also being tied down. So I am ready to get it popping, my dude.
Yeah, we actually had some snow today, but yeah, man, it's nice. We're gonna be super busy tomorrow for Valentine's. I veganized over here. We have like 100, probably like 100 dinner reservations already at this point. It's like I saw this like a new thing, like the whole Galentine's thing. Like everyone's doing Galentine's. So I got the day off tonight. You know what I mean? Could do a little Brolentine's hangout, talk some shit.
Valentine's Day does not
But
sound bad at all.
Brolentine's, what up, bro? Talk some shit about the relationship life, the single life, pros and cons, whatever it is. I rolled a little J over here. I'm sipping a little drink from the bar. Ready to hang out and fucking have a nice time.
I'm having a little drink also, and my edible should be hitting me within a half an hour.
Oh, nice. What are you sipping on?
Just some Bacardi and OJ.
Oh, nice. Made a little cocktail downstairs at the bar. Put it in a to-go coffee cup. Nice for the win.
Nice. Good shit.
Yep.
I like being with a pretty girl as much as the next person, but it is nice to have a Brolin time and not have to worry about some of the stress and drama that comes with being with that pretty girl sometimes. So I'm with that.
Yeah. Pretty girls are definitely. I'm a fan. You know what I mean? But obviously,
Oh,
everybody's.
pretty girls all day.
You can't. There's a lot of pretty girls that it's a wide range. You know what I mean? There's a lot of. There's a wide spectrum, and it's also very. Even with each individual one, it depends on the situation. You know, everything's got pluses and minuses, right?
Yes, we're going to get into a lot of those pluses and minuses today. And even though it is Valentine's Day tomorrow and love is in the air and all that good jazz, you and I are both living a single life at the moment. And while it does have its ups and downs, and admittedly, a few years ago, it used to bother me like around Valentine's Day time when I would be single and not have a girlfriend and all that. In this stage in my life, I've learned that for one, it doesn't mean that you have no value because you don't have a significant other on this day. And for two, most importantly of them all, it's just another day.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think we did like a episode talking about holidays like a little while back around Christmas time, before you came to visit.
Yes, we
I
did.
guess I have like a very similar, approach. Like I personally don't get excited for Valentine's. Like if I'm not in a relationship, I'm not like looking for a Valentine. Like, will you be my val? You know what I mean? Like, but I think it's really nice. Like if you are, then you have like a day where you can kind of make them feel special and do some nice things and have like a day to celebrate. Your bond or whatever. You know what I mean? Your relationship, your significant other. Just like just a reason to do something nice. You know what I mean? Like gives you guys a day to kind of like focus on each other, do something nice for each other. So like I'm down with it, but I'm not gonna be personally hyped. Like, oh baby, it's Valentine's Day. I'm so excited. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm also not a fucking idiot. Like I know that if I'm with someone and there's that type of expectation or that type of like I'm in those shoes where I can be that person that I want to make that day, special for them and nice for them. So I think it's a nice thing for people that are in relationships. But if I'm not in a relationship, I'm not gonna sit there like like you said earlier, like feeling like oh, I'm left out. I'm just like, oh, I'll be at work. I mean, for me, like working in the service industry, that's been kind of, that's a really busy day. So I feel like, if I am in a relationship, it's, that's the type of sacrifice that whoever I'm in a relationship with might have to kind of put up with. Like we would probably have to, do something the day before or the day after, or do like a lunch thing, because, you know, like being in the service industry, like tomorrow we got 100 reservations. Guess where I'm gonna be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I checked out of working on Valentine's Day at least at night a long time ago. It's not worth it.
What do you mean? It's a really busy day.
Yeah, the thing is, with at least the places I've worked, it's a busy day, but the thing is, they overstaff the shit out of you. And typically, most of the people that go out to eat on Valentine's Day are people who don't go out to eat regularly, and that will reflect in the tip that they leave.
Yeah, I guess it does depend on where you're going and what kind of crowd they have, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we're gonna like we're definitely as staffed as we can be tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like very high sales, and we have a pretty good crowd when it comes to tipping. So the tips are usually just a reflection of the sales. The higher the sales, the higher the tips, because the people here in New Brunswick are pretty good about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, taking a date to veganize tomorrow night would be a fucking vibe. If I had somebody like in that kind of situation where I could take them there tomorrow, yo, I would be very happy. I could take her there, order her a nice mac and cheese pizza, and then afterwards eat mac and cheese off of her.
Yo, did you see that we just won from PETA, like top 10 best pizzas for the mac and cheese pizza? They just sent us like a whole plaque and everything.
Oh, clutch, bro. That's what's up. Yo, clutch.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks, bro. But that's why I think it is a nice day. Like if you are in a relationship, you can go out and do something nice. Maybe spend the day at, like a little hotel, go on a little trip, or do a little weekend. Go to a nice restaurant. You buy her some like a piece of jewelry or some sexy lingerie, or just get her roses or chocolates. Like it's nice. You know what I mean? Like it's not shit that you do every day. So I
Nah.
get the appeal. I will say I do fuck with the whole Galentine's approach too. Like if you're single, you just went through a breakup, or if you just want to like hang out with your friends, and the people that maybe do struggle with feeling left out or inadequate if they don't have a relationship around this time, like it gives them a nice way of being part of the trend and part of the like, oh, Galentine's, all the girlfriends going out, like, you know what I mean? I think that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? So, if there's any dudes out there that feel like kind of left out or sad on these days, yo, do a Brolentine's, bro. Like, just get all your boys and go get drunk and go have fun and go out and go out to eat, or just have a big hangout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that also sounds great. I wouldn't mind doing that tomorrow if it came up. Sometimes when it comes to these holidays, it's all about what you make of it. Whether you're with a significant other, whether you're with your group of friends, or even just by yourself watching movies, it's all in what you make of the situation.
Yeah, I could see you watching Valentine's themed rom coms and shit. You know what I mean?
Actually, to be honest, to tell you the truth, I was thinking about doing that, but then I was like, you know what? For one, I've seen these movies 1,000 times, and for two, I'm just not really feeling that vibe right now. I'd rather watch something else.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you.
And to be honest, like romantic comedies, they're nice and all, but they're not my favorite like movie genre.
Yeah, no, I do think there's some good ones. I really like. Have you seen the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Anne Hathaway, like Love and Other Drugs or some shit? I think it's called.
I've seen it before. It actually showed up on my Hulu yesterday too. I've been meaning to rewatch it.
Like that's just like a good movie. You know what I mean? Regardless of the rom com side of it. You know what I mean? It's just like a good movie. You know what I mean? So I do like some of them when it's just like a legit good movie. You know what I mean? It's nice.
Yeah, that movie kind of makes me uncomfortable because of the fact that my grandfather actually died of Parkinson's disease.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that movie really makes me uncomfortable because of that.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with that. I just thought it was like, for one, I really like both those actors. I think Anne Hathaway's great and Jake Gyllenhaal's great, and I think the director's pretty solid. I forgot what else he did, but he did a couple other things. I just thought it was like a breath of fresh air compared to most of those like one hit wonder, come and go, fucking seasonal rom com whatever movies. You know what I mean?
I will say one romantic comedy I will say I have a soft spot for, even though it's kind of like a cliche one. That Pretty Woman movie. That Pretty Woman movie is actually solid.
I never really fucked with it like that. Like I know about it and I've seen like bits and pieces, but I don't think I've ever really seen it from beginning to end. And if I did, I don't really.
That was my thing too because of the whole toxic masculinity. I thought because I'm a guy, I can't be watching movies like that. It's soft. You're a pussy if you watch a movie like that. But then one day I saw it on my Hulu. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just watch this movie. Who cares? I just watched it and I said, yo, this is a good movie. It's not just a good romantic comedy. It's not a good girl movie. It's just a good movie, period.
Yeah, I don't like fuck that, bro. Like, you know, we talk a lot about movies, and I got my like list of recommended movies and all that shit that I'll tell anyone who wants to listen to about. And I have fucking kid movies on there. I have comic nerdy shit on there. I have whatever on there. But I don't give a fuck what oh, toxic masculinity, bro. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. You know what I mean? I went to see Barbie in theaters with another dude. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yes.
that's definitely not the reason I haven't seen it. You know what I mean? I've seen some like, bro. I watched Twilight at home alone for the first time on pay per view, like on demand or whatever. You know what I mean? Like the first one. I really don't like any of the sequels. I don't. I really don't like them. But then again, I don't like any of the Fast and the Furious sequels. I barely like the original. You know what I mean? Like, yo, if you can't enjoy a song or a movie because you feel like you're not supposed to as a man, you got some issues you need to work on, bro. You know
Or
what I mean?
drinking out of martini glass.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's my favorite, dude. Every time I'm in the bar and I come to like someone orders a cocktail and I come to pour it in that like a stemmed glass and they give me the look like, no, no, I don't want that, bro. It reminds me of the people. They're like, oh, I don't like water. Or like I don't eat vegetables, you know what I mean? Like, what are you 5, bro? Like you're not like secure enough to drink out of a stemmed glass, bro. I love a stemmed glassware, bro. It's beautiful.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, it's not that serious. Like if you like it, if it tastes good in that case, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, but also like you should be comfortable enough to be able to wear whatever you want, and you know what I mean. Like granted, everyone's got their own style. I'm not saying you have to keep up with the trends and like wear have a purse and wear a dress as a dude, but like I wear some colorful shit or some out there shit or some butterfly prints or floral prints or what I mean. Like I don't give a fuck, bro. If I like it, I'm gonna wear it. You know what I mean? In in Tel Aviv, bro, like half my staff was gay and shit like that, bro. Like cool ass people, and like a lot of times, like it's like a playful like between friends. Their behavior will be like slightly flirtatious, but we both know it's not leading to anything. Like I'll play around with them, I'll mess around with them in like good banter and like what I mean, like make gay flirty jokes and shit. Like I don't give a fuck, bro. Like I'm not. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like if you're freaking out about your manlyhood and your perception, then maybe like what are you worried about? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, bro, it's 2024. It's time to stop giving a fuck so much about what other people think
yeah, for sure.
and just do what makes you happy.
Yeah, definitely. Amen to that. I'll drink to that. Cheers.
Yeah, and honestly, even at this point in my life, being single doesn't make me sad the way that it used to. I know you remember me specifically in high school when I used to stress over that shit, have nightmares about that shit. But like now in this stage of my life, it's like, yo, who the fuck cares? I mean, look, there would be nice things to having a girlfriend, having a significant other to come home to every day. But I even did an episode about this podcast several months ago about this. The single life at the end of the day, it's not so bad. It's really not so bad. In fact, there's a lot of blessings that come from living a single life. And I know you, my friend, can testify a lot to that over the past year and a half. There are a lot of pluses and a lot of great things that can come from just going at your own pace and not having to answer to anybody.
Well, sometimes you need it too. Like sometimes you just need your own time to figure your own shit out and get to know yourself. And like if you can't be comfortable alone, then like why the fuck would you run to someone else like fix my like what like I feel like if you want like something serious and healthy and long lasting, you really got to be able to like be pretty like complete on your own before you approach that. So I do see that there's like some people where they feel like they have to be in a relationship and they jump from one to the next like they need to, you know what I mean? And I'm not judging, like we all got our thing, you know what I mean, like our shit we need to work on.
Insecurities.
Yeah, whatever. some people are just like naturally like that. They're very like involved. They like to be in a relationship all the time or whatever. I'm not hating on it, but I do think that there's a lot of pluses that comes with like being alone, being someone that like has been mostly single for a very long time, like going on what like 10, 15 years. I can't even remember anymore. But when
10.
10, okay, let's say 10 years, on a decade now, I've been mostly single. It's not to say that I had no relationships, but nothing too serious or exclusive. Maybe like one here, one there, you know what I mean? Not nothing too long term. I mean, in general, bro, my whole life, I don't think I've ever really been in a serious, exclusive relationship for more than 6 months at a time, 8 months at a time. Like, I don't think I've ever hit a year straight in my life. You know what I mean? So, definitely not the authority on long term relationships, but I do feel like being on your own, and there's a type of freedom that comes with it. There's a type of peace of mind that comes with it, and also like not in a bad way, but a type of like selfishness that comes with it, where you can prioritize what you want to do. Like if I come home in a great mood and I'm with someone for a year, it's my girlfriend. She had a horrible day. I have to adjust myself. I can't just be like, I don't want to hear about like I'm having a great like no like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just especially if we live together or some shit. Like you know what I mean? Like there's something very liberating when it's just you. It's just less responsibility. It keeps you young. You know what I mean? It keeps you like a little more carefree. That's not to say that there's no negatives to it, and there's not to say that there's no pluses to serious relationships. Um, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's not so black and white. There is no right or wrong. Like you can be single and it can be fucking great. You can be single and you can be fucking miserable. It has nothing to, you know what I mean? It's not so black and white. Same with being in a relationship. You could be in a relationship and it's a beautiful thing, and you could be in a relationship. It's like, yo, not for me. No, thank you. I'm good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So definitely, not so black and white, not so clear cut. Like, they can both be the right thing. They can both be the bad thing. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's just like the holiday. It's a lot of what you bring to it and what you put into it. Like, don't stay in a relationship if it's bad. You know what I mean? But also don't throw away a relationship if it's good. Like you gotta appreciate what you have, but also have value for yourself and know your worth and have standards.
Yeah, the most important thing about like whether you're happy in a relationship or happy being single, it's all about your mindset and all about where you're at. Because piggybacking on what you mentioned a few minutes ago about like how people rush from being in a relationship to a relationship, with me, one of the last breakups I had a couple years ago, it was so bad, it put me in such a bad headspace. I just like knew deep down the last thing I needed to be doing was dating or meeting new girls, hooking up with new girls, or any of that bullshit.
Can I just say that that's crazy because from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, that wasn't even a breakup where like the girl wanted to leave you. That was a breakup where you wanted to leave the girl, right?
Yes, it was because things were kind of like
Most people that
drifting.
get into like a bad headspace. I'm sorry, I was saying most people that get into a bad headspace is because they were left, not because they left. So that's just, you know,
Yeah,
it paints it in a different light.
yeah, the thing was, I was in a really bad place at the time. I had just moved to Atlanta, and things weren't really going well with the move at the time, and also with this girl that I was seeing, we were starting to drift apart. I was starting to, like not feel as strongly about her as I did before. And then one night she confronted me about it, and when she did confront me, I had to come clean. I couldn't lie to her or bullshit her, so I told her the truth, and she didn't take it well. And then we ended up breaking up. It was very sudden, very out of nowhere. And yeah, it just put me in a weird place. It really fucked me up. I'll be very blunt. It really fucked me up big time. And you even talked to me that next day on the phone. I was a fucking mess. That was the worst I think I ever took a breakup ever. And the crazy part about it, like you mentioned, I was the one who had to initiate it. I was the one who had to like, be upfront about it. And yeah, I just knew like from that point on, like that period, like, yo, I don't need to be dating anybody right now. Like the place I'm in my head, the mentality I have right now, I'm not going to serve anybody any good being in this place. I really need to work on myself, get my shit together, learn from my mistakes that I've made in this past relationship so that when the next relationship comes around and the next person comes around, I do better by them than I did by that last person I was with.
I mean, I respect the shit out of that. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know the ins and outs, but to me, it definitely felt like you were being a little hard on yourself. You know what I mean? I think that's respect for being honest and upfront and letting you know, yo, you're right. Like I'm not in it 100%. You know what I mean? And you know, it's a slippery slope because being someone that's been mostly single for the last 10 years, I have had a lot of relationships, even if not like the traditional sense or interactions or dynamics with a lot of different girls, and you know in living in like New York City or Tel Aviv, where it's kind of like dating life is a little crazy and almost like not just on the guy side, like you're with a girl, you're talking to a girl, you don't know if you're the only one she's talking to, like chances are that, you know what I mean, like so being in that type of scenario, it's also crazy like what some people's general assumptions are at the gate. If you don't talk about something, if it's not like understood or agreed upon, then you know what I mean? Like some everyone has different expectations of like how you behave when you're still in the process of like you're not really a thing yet, but you're in the, like some you know what I mean? Everyone has different rule book for that or a different expectation for that or a different you know what I mean? So and most people don't really come out and discuss it, you know what I mean? So I don't know if you made certain promises that you didn't keep or whatever, but to me, it sounded like you were pretty upfront, pretty honest, pretty direct, and like I understand feeling bad about it, but at the end of the day, like I always think that it's better to be honest and end things when you know that it's not like if you would have been like, oh, I feel bad and like, no, I still love you and all this shit and like kept it going. I think then you had something to feel bad for a lot more than being upfront and just telling her like, yeah, you're right. I'm just not in
Yeah.
it the same way. You did the right thing. I don't, you know what I mean? You should be proud of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in hindsight, looking back at it now, especially after talking to you and your brother, and also even my therapist about it, everyone told me that, like, yo, you did the right thing. You handled it the way that a mature adult would
The
handle it.
mature thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I like I understand why you feel bad about it. I understand why you feel sad, but just don't feel bad about the way you handled it because you could have definitely handled it a much worse way than you did. I took some like solace in that, like knowing that I was at least honest and I didn't lead her on, or like even worse, maybe cheat on her if we stayed together longer. So yeah, like in that regard, I felt good about it. But deep down, I did have feelings for her and I did care for her. So in that regard, that's maybe why I felt so sad and felt so bad about how it ended. But looking back at it now, like I definitely know that the way I handled it was the right way. And if I have any situations in the future where I am in that same position, to handle it that exact same way, because it's better to kind of like end it when like deep down there's no future and deep down you can't give them what they're looking for, than to keep stringing it along for however long, and then more resentment and more anger and more bitterness builds up along the way. Yeah, those are the last kind of problems that you want. If you ever have to end a relationship, if you ever have to break up with someone, you want to break up and end it on as good a terms and as peaceful as possible. I know you can't always have it that way. I know that's not always the way of the world, but if you can control making it end on those terms, then do that shit. Trust me, do that shit. It'll make a world of difference.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I understand, you're like I do care, I do have feelings. Like I get it, bro. Like most of my ex like official girlfriends, or even if it's just like girls that I had a thing with but never really fully developed, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I still care for them. I still have feelings for them. Even friends, it's like platonic friends that we're not friends anymore. Or, people that used to work for me that I haven't seen in years. Like it doesn't matter. Like most of the people from my past, I still, care about them, even if we're not in touch or we're not still relevant or we're not like, it doesn't matter, bro. Like that shit isn't supposed to go away. I'm not saying it's my priority or I'm in it, or I'm thinking about it every day, but yeah, if I think about it, of course, I want them to be well. I care about them. I think they're great. If I think about it, I miss them and shit like that, and I think like if you break up with a girl, you should do it when you still have those feelings, and hopefully vice versa. You know what I mean? Hopefully, like for her as well. Like you know what I mean? Like she still cares about you or whatever. Like I think that's a sign of, like you said, like a healthy breakup. You know what I mean? I think like today people can be very extreme sometimes with like all good or all bad or all left or all right, etc., etc. So there's this thing where like, oh well, if we still care for each other, then we shouldn't break up, or if we broke up, it means we don't care for each other anymore. Nah, no, you don't like if you loved someone and you had good times with them and you cared for them and you guys were close and all that, hopefully you guys, can end things keeping it that way, even if you're not each other's priority anymore, or if you're not necessarily in contact anymore or seeing each other often anymore, that's fine. But hopefully in the background, like you're like, yeah, like you have nice things to say, you wish them well, and you still care about them. You know what I mean? To some extent. You know what I mean? I think that's just a healthy sign. Because like if you're being honest with me and you're telling me like I don't think we should see each other anymore, I'm gonna assume that you did your fucking homework and you know how you feel, and I don't know, how you feel, and you got to the conclusion that we shouldn't see each other anymore. And if you're being honest, which is not easy, and that's why I commend you for doing that with homegirl in your last relationship, if you're being honest enough and brave enough to come and tell me when it's probably not easy, hey, L, I think that this is not good. I'm gonna trust your judgment on that, and I'm gonna be like, okay. That's the only thing you'll ever fucking hear from me. If you try to break up with me, the only thing you will ever hear from me is, all right, cool. That's it, bro. Like, there's no other option. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like about this like rom com type fucking ending of a movie where the dude runs to the airport. No, you can't leave. Yo, that's some toxic ass shit. Like trying to romanticize that in movies. Like, I'm not chasing anybody, bro. Like, if you tell me no, and if you want to talk to me about why it might be a possibility or weigh the pros and cons and have a conversation about it, we can talk about it all night and figure it out and see if it's good or bad together. If you tell me you already decided, I'm not convincing you of shit. I'm saying, all right, awesome, cool.
You know what's funny that you bring up the whole chasing the girl to the airport shit? That's what Ross did with Rachel on the last episode of Friends. Like they hooked up, but she was gonna be moving anyway, and then like she left to go to the airport, and he's like, you know what? Fuck this, I can't live without her. And then he chases her ass to the airport to try to win her back. And then initially she rejects him, but then when he gets back home, she follows him back home, and then they get back together.
Well, listen. I will say, because you brought up that example, if you never told someone how you really feel, or if you withheld a piece of information, or you weren't, you know what I mean, or you feel like something that wasn't said, and you just want to go and say that before they make their final decision, cool, I get it, that's fine. Like if I know that a girl is telling me it's over because I couldn't commit to a certain thing or because I never told her how I really felt, you know what I mean? And then I was like, fuck it, she's leaving. It's my last chance, and I wouldn't have told her. You know what? You can leave, and I understand why, but I just have to tell you that I do feel this way, and blah blah blah. Cool, that's fine. I feel like at the end of the day, if you're coming and telling someone it's over, hopefully you're doing that after having that conversation. Like I also don't think you should assume that for someone. Like I do feel like if you get fired, you should be told why. You know what I mean? Like if you should be able to like hopefully give someone some type of
Explanation.
closure. Yeah, like some type of closure. Like it's just like I think like that's like you don't have to. You don't have to. And I feel like you should, if you don't get that closure, you should still kind of move on and be like, all right, you have your reasons. I respect that. Thank you. It's clearly not it. Like I don't think anyone should be striving to be in a relationship with someone who wants to end it. You know what I mean? Like if the person is giving up on it or doesn't want to be in it, you should respect that, and that should immediately make you kind of feel the same way. Like I don't want to be in a one-sided relationship. Like I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't want me, where I have to like convince them all the time, or like always second guess, do they actually want me now? Like I don't, who wants that? You know what I mean? Like that's weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to learn to live with. Like, no matter how much you're feeling someone, no matter how much of a dime piece they are, if they're not feeling you back, and if they make it perfectly clear that they're not feeling you back, leave it alone, yo. Move on with your fucking life. It may sting a little. I get that. It may sting a little. It might not feel too good when you get that initial rejection. But just as a respectable human being with dignity and pride, you have to handle that shit maturely. And having a tantrum and begging them to take you back and begging them to like you back, that shit is wax sauce, bro. And more importantly, that shit, whoa, that shit, That kind of toxic bullshit is for the birds.
Is for birds. Yeah, nah, for sure. I would say like not even pride, bro, but like self respect. Like just like self respect. You know what I
Exactly,
mean?
exactly.
We talked about this, I think, like back in the days when we used to, like during COVID, when we first started podcasting together. I think we talked about this on
I would probably remember
episodes.
the master and the ruler of the world.
For sure, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, just like you should have like a sense of like self respect. You know what I mean when it comes to this to these like relationships and things like that. Like, it's okay to be upset about something ending, but you really have to understand that the other person as well. And like you can't force shit, bro. You know what I mean? And respect yourself enough to be like, you know what I mean? Like, not everything has to last forever. Like you also have to like appreciate what you had, even if it's over. Like the fact that something's over doesn't mean that it was all terrible and you have to like villainize. You know what I mean? Like it's okay for things to end.
Yeah,
It's a natural thing. People go through phases. People change. People make decisions. Like everyone has got so much going on. Life is pretty complicated already and nuanced as is. Like you know what I mean? Like if you really love someone, you should be able to let them go with love. You know what I mean? Like if you really love them, you should be able to just let them go with love and not with anger or not with hate.
yeah, definitely. And like you said, like if it's a one-sided thing and you feel like you're all into it and they're not into it and they're trying to get out of it, yeah, like you can't really force that. And also at the same time, just out of respect for yourself, you got to be willing to say, you know what? If they don't want to be with me, then we shouldn't be together because I don't want somebody to be with me that doesn't really want to be with me and who's just staying with me because they feel like they're supposed to, or they feel like they have no better options, or they just feel like it's comfortable. Yeah, that shit is nowheresville. That's not a relationship you want to have or you want to.
Or because you're like mentally fucking forcing them to by being a victim and
Yeah, that
making
too.
them feel bad and manipulate them. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh my
I've
god.
just learned a lot over the last few years. You have to have some self-respect. No matter how much you like somebody back, no matter how much you're attracted to them, your self-respect has to come first. And that's one thing I've learned, especially with rejections. Like if a girl just politely says she doesn't like me back or she doesn't like look at me that way, I'll be like, okay, that's cool, no problem. There's no need to throw a tantrum. There's no need to call her a bitch or call her names or any of that
Yeah.
jazz. Yeah, like the best response to that is just to say, okay, I understand, and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, bro, chances are not every single fucking girl on the planet wants your fucking dick, bro. Like, chances are, like, you have to be realistic. Like, it's okay if someone's not into you. That's fine. They don't even fucking know you. Like, you know what I mean? Even if they do, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? You should really more focus, like you said, on self respect and how you feel about yourself and, and things of that nature. And then, if you do belong in a relationship and want to be in a relationship, hopefully you can attract the right one that's healthy and and if you don't, like, you don't have control over everything, but you know what I mean, you have control over yourself.
If somebody's polite about the way they turn you down and polite about the way they reject you, then you can at least commend them for respecting you enough to be that honest with you and be cool with the way they're that honest with you because that shit is commendable. Like a lot of the girls who have rejected me over the last few years, like even though I was bummed out by them rejecting me, I still kept the same respect for them because of the way they did it. They were honest about it. They weren't assholes about it. They just let me down gently, even if it wasn't the response I was hoping for. I can live with that because they were at least mature enough to handle it in that way. So I fucks with that energy. The only time I kind of take it personal and might get a little pissed off about it is when they're flaky about it. Like for instance, like if they agree to go out with you or agree to meet you at a certain place at a certain time and they just don't show up and don't like offer any kind of apology or explanation for why they didn't show up, that kind of shit is whack. Like that kind of way of handling things I can't fuck with and I can't respect. But at the end of the day, if someone pulls that kind of bullshit and is on that kind of bullshit, that should be a clear sign that they're not the right person for you. And
Exactly. Like sometimes no
invest in yourself.
answer is an answer, you know what I mean? Like sometimes actions speak louder than words. Like that type of
Yes,
behavior is telling you all you need to know if you're actually being honest with yourself. Like that type of behavior is telling you everything you need to know, you know what I mean?
a clear no is better than a half-ass yes, where they're saying, "Oh yes, I want to hang out with you. Oh, let's go do this. Oh, let's go do that." And then the day you guys are supposed to hang out, they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah, obviously I'm not a fan of that type of shit. I try to honor my commitments. I try not to just like, waste people's time or, and things like that. But at the end of the day, if they got to a point where they said no, guess what? Chances are you shouldn't really be with them. When it comes to like relationships, because like I've been single, for a very long time. In that time, I've actually interacted mostly with women and have met mostly women, hooked up with, hung out with, whatever, blah blah blah. Like most of my friends now are girls. It's crazy, almost like at an unhealthy level. But most of it has not necessarily led to like a serious, committed, long term relationship. That type of shit for me, like, because I do love beautiful women just as much as anybody else, if not more. And it is very like there's so many of them, especially like when you live in places like Tel Aviv or New York, and these dating apps, it's fucking endless, bro. And like you can fall in love 5 times a day. It's crazy. But like a relationship to me is more of like not just like a physical thing. It's more of like a mental, because when you're focused on like, oh, this girl's hot, it never ends, bro. It never ends. You know what I mean? And so there's new ones coming out all the time. It's like iPhones, bro. This shit is crazy. You know what I mean? And to me, like a relationship is when it's almost like it's my best friend. You know what I mean? Like there's like a bond, there's a connection, there's like a dialogue, there's an interest, like something that goes beyond just the physical attraction and the sexual energy and things like that, which I'm not like downplaying. Those things are all very important and I appreciate them greatly. But I think part of the reason why I've been mostly single is because to me it was more rare to form that a mental like connection, or that like a friendship that goes beyond just that. You know what I mean? Like to me it's like that's kind of like where I guess goes beyond like trying to like value your freedom and do your single thing and do whatever you want. When you have that type of like, I guess like bond or connection, then it's like, okay, now it's like there's two options on the scales, and they both have their pluses and minuses. But if you do find like a special connection, then that is something that you might want to investigate. And like I said, doesn't mean it has to last forever. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean it's going to be forever, and that's fine. Like I said, if you enter it with love, you should leave it with love. You know what I mean?
Like even if it doesn't last forever, and even if you two end up not getting married and being happily ever after, that doesn't mean it was a wasted relationship, and that doesn't mean you wasted your time and that they're a horrible person, or that there needs to be a villain in the fact that it ended. Sometimes the reason why some of these things end and some of these things kind of like drift apart is just out of circumstance. Like it's nobody's really fault in many cases. Sometimes legit people just grow apart and want different things, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to paint out one person or the other person to be the villain. But I will say, back to your point about, like girls that are hot and girls that are attractive and like needing that connection, I feel that shit 110% these days. Because I've just had to learn the hard way a lot that even if a girl's hot, even if the girl's like, like a Victoria's Secret model type, good looking and all that jazz, if she doesn't have the personality, the attitude, and the behavior to back that up, then it's nowheresville. It doesn't matter how pretty she is. It doesn't matter how fucking good she looks in a dress or an outfit. A girl becomes less and less attractive to me if I start to learn that she's a horrible person, treats people like shit, has horrible character, no moral compass. Yeah, that shit is a no-no for me. I don't care what the fuck you look like. And now that I'm older, I'm glad that I have that kind of insight and have that kind of awareness, because you don't want to settle for somebody just like that, no matter how good it might make you feel on paper to like show her off to all your friends and show her off on your Instagram. You shouldn't want to settle for somebody like that just because they look good. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, regardless. Do not ever settle for anybody like that just because you're physically attracted to them. Because at the end of the day, physical attraction eventually fades. And once it starts to fade a little bit and it's not as strong, what the fuck else are you going to rely on? And unless you have something else solid to rely on and something else solid to invest into, then you got jack shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like for me, it's just like I've been single for so long that I'm just kind of used to it. It's like my basic mode of operation, and not to say that I'm not open to dabbling in relationships and experiencing new things and giving things a chance and seeing where it goes and all that. But you know what I mean? Like if I'm not like if you're just hot and we had a thing, whatever, we hooked up, you know what I mean? And there's nothing there for me like the next day. Like I don't want to share things with you or check on like if we don't have like a connection past that where I'm thinking about you all the time or I want to spend all my time with you or not all like not in
Word
like
up.
psycho like obsessive kind of thing, but like you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, cool, she's hot, I hooked up with her, you know what I mean? It was fun, boom. But like I like my move on. Like I'm like it's a new day, I have shit to worry about. Like I'm not sitting there blowing up your phone. So for me, like, but some people you have like a bond where when you talk to them, it's like, you know what I mean? There's just like compatibility that doesn't always, present itself. So that's something that, you know what I mean? For me personally, where there's like something beyond just the physical aspect, you know what I mean? But I have to say that in my experience, most people that I've, met, like, even if it wasn't compatible, it's not because they were a terrible person or some shit. We're just like either not looking for the same things, not in the same headspace, not compatible, not interested in the same way. Like it just wasn't a fit. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily feel bad that I wronged them in any way, but I also don't feel like the girls that I wanted something with that weren't interested. I don't think they did anything wrong to me. Like you can't expect every fucking person. Like you know what I mean? Like
No, not at all. But sometimes people do wrong by you. But when you do notice they do wrong by you in that way,
doing you a favor. You know what I
yeah.
mean? They're like maybe that's their way of telling you how they feel because they can't fucking do it. You know what I mean? They're doing you a favor by letting you know where they stand, and you can fucking make peace and make an informed decision and move on with your fucking life.
And you can tell them how their actions made you felt, and you can even lash out at them a little bit. And yeah, just go on with your day. Or even in my case, write a rap diss about it. Yeah, that's what I've learned to be therapy nowadays. Like if I ever have a bad breakup with a girl or if it goes like down that way, I know exactly what I need to do. Pull the pen and paper out and go to work.
Yeah. Now you're just
Let their ass have it.
just material for the next song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel good about it these days. I don't feel good about this at all. But nowadays, it's much easier for me to write like breakup diss songs than it is for me to write like love. I'm really into you songs. I'm not proud of it, but I feel like a lot of the energy I see with some girls on social media these days has contributed to that.
Well, social media is far from
I
real
hate to
life.
say it.
I mean, our last track together was kind of one of our last tracks was definitely more on the bitter side.
Yeah, and bro, where do you think I got a lot of the inspiration for that from?
Right now, I get it. I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, and probably a part of it is contributed to me being on my damn phone too much, which I need to fucking work on. But just seeing the way a lot of these girls act with like how entitled they are, how egotistical they are, how horrible their behavior and their attitudes are, I just see that shit and I just say to myself, looks like I'm not really missing out on anything when it comes to relationships. Like if that's the shit that's waiting for me on the other side of it, no fucking thank you.
But be honest, most of these videos you're talking about or things you're talking about on social media or these girls that you're talking about, most of it is people that you don't necessarily actually know in real life. It's just like videos that you see trending on social media, right? I would imagine.
There are a few I've known who I've met in person before and that I have had a pass with. But
Right.
there are others, yes, admittedly, who I haven't met. But
You
yeah, it's kind
know,
of like 50-50.
yeah, with like all that social media shit, like I would just take it with a grain of salt. Some people might be just trying to do something because they know that it gets engagement or views. Like it's like in thinking that your favorite actor or your favorite sports athlete or your favorite rapper or whatever, like that you know them or that they're like what they are in life. Like you don't know these people. Like you don't know what the fuck. Like it's just a video. You have no idea who the person behind the camera is and how much of it is true or how much of it is act, what's the motivations behind it or whatever, you know what I
Yes, a lot of it could be an act, but honestly, from the little bit of it I do see, even though I don't know them, I kind of don't really want to know them. Nah, I'm not, because yeah, like I know that one video I revert back to, which I actually did an episode about a few months ago about that.
The cheesecake
Yeah, that one chick.
thing.
Yeah, that could have very.
Yeah,
Yo, look, that could have very easily been an act. That could have very easily been actors pulling that shit off. But just at the end of the day, at the same time, I just don't like that kind of behavior. And I've been around long enough to see that that kind of behavior kind of does exist, and that kind of behavior should be called out at any time, any place.
yeah. No, I guess I'm just really good at separating myself from that because I personally like for the most part like I try not to judge too much. Like I'm not always my best self, and I have shit I need to work on. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, we all do.
Yeah, if something's not my vibe at the moment, I try to just like walk away from it, like, and not pay too much attention, not judge it, not get mad at it, not have strong feelings towards it, just separate myself from it. And like especially when in these relationships, and if you look at breakups, like chances are that if like we said, that you don't have to have good guys or bad guys, but there's always contributing factors. Chances are that when it's fresh and when it's happening, if someone breaks up with you or leaves you, or what I mean, or wants to end things with you, chances are that you're not necessarily always seeing things from their perspective, or you're not always aware of your flaws, or the contributing factors that maybe were the things that you could have been more aware of, or what I mean. Like chances are you might see those things later if you're willing to accept and make peace with it. But like no one's fucking perfect, bro. Like most people aren't. It's almost never like one person's completely fine and one person's completely. You know what I mean? There's a context goes a long way. So I can see a scenario where maybe in one person's specific life, going to cheesecake was fucked up because of like so much other context. You know what I mean? So I try not to judge. You know what I mean? But I would never take a fucking date to cheesecake, bro. I wouldn't take myself to cheesecake. I wouldn't take my kids to cheesecake. You know what I mean?
Hey,
But
hey, look,
to each his
hey,
own.
look. To fairness, neither would I. But like I said, just that kind of reaction to that and that behavior to that, that shit is whack. Like regardless of whether you're a fan of
Yeah, no, I've
or
never seen
not,
the
that
video. I assume it was probably like some rapid bullshit, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, you know.
but like I said before, just seeing that type of behavior from them and getting that type of vibe from them, you know that they're not the right one for you. But one thing I've learned from being single for like the last couple of years specifically, and like really working on myself and like really calling myself out for my shit, as an area I always slipped at, and an area that I know I need to be more focused on in the future is just being a better leader. Like I know throughout my life I've had a hard time with this. I've really struggled with this, and like the last year I've really been making it a focus to like be better at it. But yeah, I've always had an issue with being a leader and like being that assertive person that everybody listens to and everybody follows the lead of. And a big reason why I had that problem, because I didn't really grow up with that kind of leader around in the household. But at the end of the day, while that wasn't my responsibility as a kid, as an adult, as a 38 almost year old man, that is my responsibility to become that leader. And I'm just grateful that I've been able to have that awareness of not being good in that area so I could become better at that area for the next person that I am with. Because that next person that I am with deserves the best version of myself that I can be. And I look forward to providing that version of myself to that person when the time comes.
Respect, bro. Round of applause. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, bro, it's all about accountability. That's one thing I've been really big on the last few years is being honest about your shortcomings, being honest about the areas you slipped up on and finding a way to fix it. Because at the end of the day, whatever happened to you as a kid, whatever trauma your parents put you through, or your siblings, or whatever bullies you dealt with in school put you through, that shit is not your fault. But when you become an adult and when you become a person who has to provide and look out for your own self, it is 100% your responsibility to fix those issues. And you cannot place the blame on anyone else but you.
forget the blame and the responsibility. Like, who's gonna pay the price if you don't fix the issues? They're still
That
affecting
too. That
you.
too.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, don't fix them. Who the fuck? Yeah, it's your problem. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like you're not threatening anyone else by not fixing your problems. Guess what? You're just gonna you're gonna end up losing out because you're the one with the problems. You know what I mean?
And by not fixing those problems and not working on yourself and bettering yourself, When you ask yourself why I haven't found my significant other and why I haven't found my happily ever after, the one place you are going to need to look and the one person you are going to need to point the finger at is the person you look at in the mirror.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like people, or at least I can talk about myself. I don't know about everybody, but sometimes have a tendency of like either focusing on their strengths or focusing on their weaknesses, but not necessarily at the same time. Like they'll either be like, you know what I mean, or for me, like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm the shit, I'm this, I'm this, and like I'm feeling myself, and I'm being a leader and all these things, but I'm not necessarily taking accountability or things like that, or like I could be a little like maybe getting too ahead of, you know what I mean, like a lot of times people will focus on like they'll get carried away or drunk with success and kind of like focus only on the good, and then a lot of times it'll be the flip side. They'll focus only on the bad, or you know what I mean. You'll just be like fuck, all these taking too much accountability almost, and like the accountability is fine, but also like don't forget the what I mean? It's not all good or all bad. Like it's what I mean? Like you should kind of have them be able to like coexist, the good and the bad. And you should always strive to balance it and progress and learn and grow. But it's really important, I think, to let these things kind of like coexist and both exist at the same time. Like, not to have that strive for perfection where it's all good and you can't have any bad, but not to only focus on the bad and forget about all the good. You know what I mean? And that's within yourself, within your partner, within your situation, if it's single or in a relationship, or within anything really.
I remember my ex I dated that you met about 10 years ago. And yeah, we ended up breaking up. It didn't work out. But looking back at it now, I only look at the good times we had together. Like when I look back on the time we dated and the times we hung out and the time we spent together, I only think about the positives. I don't think about the last month and a half where like we drifted apart and we weren't really vibing with each other. I think about like when we first met, when I met her at work, and the times I would cook for her at her house, and the times we would spend together watching movies, fooling around, getting to know each other, and just vibing with each other. Like I only look back at those times, and especially considering the fact that we broke up on good terms and in a mature way, yeah, there's nothing but positive I could look back on with my experience with her. But one hard lesson I had to learn the hard way back then is that right after I broke up with that girl, I did have like an excitement and an enthusiasm to start dating other girls, meeting other girls, and doing all that bullshit. But the thing was, the mistake I made back then is that after that relationship ended, I should have taken a break from dating and a break from dating other girls and gotten to like know myself better and like learn from my mistakes from that past relationship. So I could have been better to go into the next one. But being young and not knowing any better at the time, I just like really was too focused and too consumed with who the next girl was gonna be that I dated, who the next girl was gonna be that I hooked up with. And because of that, I paid a very, very heavy price for it. The girls that I did meet, that I did date, like were pretty much like a step down from the girl I was with before. And the few girls I did end up liking and did end up hitting it off with ended up being flaky, ended up being bullshit, ended up being not what I thought they would be. And yeah, because I rushed so much into dating right after that last relationship, I paid a heavy price for it and ended up in an even worse place than I was when I was with that initial person in the first place. So that's one lesson I take with me, especially now, like if I ever go through a breakup or anything along those lines, take a significant hiatus from dating before you start dating again, because there's definitely some work you need to do. And if you don't do that work, you are going to fuck shit up for not only yourself, but the next person you end up with.
I mean, I don't think there's a rule book. You got to feel it out. You know what I mean? I wouldn't, you know what I mean? But yeah, definitely it's good to give yourself time for shit. But at the same time, if you have something good going on, you want to explore it, by all means. But I will say there's definitely like an excitement of or a temptation of the unknown that like, can even plague your relationship.
Yep,
You know what I
it
mean? Because you're
happened.
always like,
It
oh,
happened.
yeah, like what am I focused on what you're missing out on instead of focusing on what you're doing and what's in front of you. And if that's really how you feel all the time, then you should probably not be in a relationship because it's unfair to the other person. But sometimes that shit's misleading. Sometimes you're like so consumed by it, and then you get out of the relationship, and then it's just nothing there, and you're like, oh, I was a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? But at the same time, being someone who's kind of like experienced the opposite as well, like where I've had like these phases where I was like, on a roll, if you will, like seeing a lot of women, having, I guess, what a lot of people would call success, you know what I mean, with hooking up with girls and things like that. Like, that shit doesn't last forever either. Like, even if it works your way and it goes your way and all these things, eventually, like, if you don't find like something with more substance, that shit all ends up fading. And, it's great when it's like new and exciting and it's almost like this goal or this achievement or this excitement, or you don't know what it's going to lead to, and it's fun. And you know also depends on where you're at in your life and what's going on, like, whatever. But usually, if you don't really find something with some substance, all that shit ends up fading and becoming just like a distant memory anyway. You know what I mean? Like, that shit doesn't necessarily.
Hell motherfucking yeah. Without substance, you have jack shit. Whether it's a weekend fling, whether you guys are going to be happily ever after or be together for a year, however long it lasts, if you have no substance, if you have nothing to build on besides the physical stuff and the sexual stuff, it is not going to last long. I've had to learn that lesson the hard way, and I'm grateful I have learned that lesson the hard way, because substance is what makes any person having worth having. One downside to being single is having that feeling that you're missing out on something, and that you're missing out on a relationship, missing out on a significant other. And yes, those things are great to have, but also on the flip side, one downside to being in a relationship is that fear of missing out. When you've been with somebody, especially when it becomes routine and in some cases it becomes boring after a while, you have that feeling that you're missing out on meeting new people, hooking up with new people, getting to know new people, whatever it is. Yeah, you have that same fear of missing out. But I guess at the end of the day, I guess it just comes down to what you value more and what situation works better for you in that long run. And if you have somebody that you can come home to every day, who's nurturing, who does right by you, who you're attracted to, and who makes your life better just for the fact that they are in it, that is some shit that is worth preserving. And that is the type of shit for me, especially that type of relationship, that type of girl who is very worthy of the premium Kurt package. She gets access to all that shit.
Amen. Yeah, I feel you, bro. Yeah, at the end of the day, it comes down to priorities. You know what I mean? Like, different people in different parts of their life have different priorities, and if your priority is yourself, ain't nothing wrong with that. And if you found something that has some substance and is a little more special, and you choose to prioritize that, may the odds be in your favor, and best of luck to you. And it could be a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? You know. If you're not, then and then it's Valentine's. Just hang out with your friends and have a good time. You know what I mean? Just
I mean, while it's a downside to like being single that you don't have that significant other you can confide in and have sex with every day and spend time with every day, yeah, it might suck to not have that. But on the flip side, one thing that would suck to be in a relationship and have that significant other is that there is a very big chance that you could lose her to Usher, especially after that Super Bowl performance last Sunday. Yeah, if you have that significant other and she's a big fan of Usher, your ass is in deep trouble, bro. Deep fucking
Are
trouble,
you
bro.
talking about Swiss Beats and Aaliyah? Or you're just talking about in
I'm just
general.
talking shit. I just think those memes are funny. But I will be honest, when I did watch that performance and I saw Usher like hugging on Alicia Keys like that, I did say to myself, like, yo, Swiss Beats, I'm not sure how happy he's gonna be about this. And then lo and behold, the next day it's like the biggest story everybody's talking about. But if you do find that connection with somebody and you do have that vibe with someone, explore that shit. No matter how long it lasts, explore that shit. Because that's some shit that you could take with you for the rest of your life.
And if you do have that and you're exploring it, and Valentine's Day comes around, please do something nice for them and don't take them out to cheesecake.
No, don't take him out to cheesecake. Take him to a nice vegan
Yeah,
restaurant, a
take them to
nice, like, really
veganize.
elegant place with a good
Take them to
vibe.
veganize. I'll make you a bomb drink.
Or you could cook for them at home, make them a nice dish, make them some chili, make them some jambalaya, and then later on that night you could turn them into jambalaya.
Give them the premium card package.
Damn right, premium Kurt package all day, every day. Half your ass feeling dizzy.
There's nothing wrong with doing something nice at home. Put up some candles, get some flowers. Nice massage, nice some cooked meal, bottle of wine. Ain't nothing wrong with that, bro.
And bury my face in it like it's a pie eating contest.
Definitely better than Cheesecake Factory if you do it right.
Yeah, it's the Kurt Cake Factory over here.
Okay, let's go.
Damn right, son. And one thing about the premium Kurt package, one of the benefits of the premium Kurt package is I'm tonguing your ass down from the time you walk through the door. It's a wrap.
Yeah, bro. Passion goes a long way. That's one thing for me. Like,
Oh, yes.
I can't be like substance, but also passion. Like, if there's no, I don't know, sense of urgency or kind of like priority or passion, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I definitely need that. That little spark, that flame.
There are plus and minuses to the single life and also the relationship life. I mean, from the single standpoint, I do like the freedom. I do like the fact that I only have to answer to myself and I don't have to, like, check in with somebody every time I want to do something. But on the flip side, in the relationship life, you do have that significant other you can come home to every day, confide in if you are having a bad day, and you guys could just, like, talk about whatever's going on in each other's lives and have a nice meal together, have a nice evening together. And, you just have that partnership, have that companionship. That shit is a beautiful thing to have to come home to. And also at the same time, having that same person to go on adventures with, go on vacations with, have good times with, and live life with. It is beautiful. It's incredible to have that other person to have those things with. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to where you are in your own life and whether or not you can be happy, whether or not you are by yourself or have somebody to share your life with. Because no matter what place in your life you are in, it all comes down to you and where you're at. So just make sure you're in a good place.
Just also make sure that your significant other right, but also yourself. Like all the things, like some people obviously don't always treat the significant other right, but some people do, but they won't extend themselves the same courtesies as they would to the other, so they can have like all this like belief in the other person and all this admiration for the other person and all this like love or they want to give and satisfy the other person, but not necessarily to themselves. You know what I mean? So
It's happy spouse, happy house. And that comes down to both of you. It's not about one person making the other person happy or the other person making that person happy. It's about you two making each other happy and what you are willing to do and what effort you're willing to put in to make each other happy. That wraps up our talk for the day. And like I said before, I'm not a licensed doctor or a therapist, but I do have a lot of experience in my personal life dealing with these issues. So I like to use this podcast as a platform and helping others in dealing with these issues a lot easier than I did. And if you ever want to talk to me, chop it up with me and follow me, you could follow me on my various social media sites, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Look up my first and last name for Facebook and LinkedIn, and also look up Conscious Kurt for Instagram. Send me a friend request, send me a comment, follow, whatever you prefer. Also, if you want to listen to this and past episodes of For the Birds, you can find it on Spreaker, Spotify, as well as YouTube. Subscribe to it, like it, send me messages on what you would like for me to talk about on future episodes and also what you like about the show as a whole. But regardless, I will be here for a long time to come talking about different forms of negative and toxic behavior, the effects it has on us and our mental health, and what we can do to have a better understanding of it and more control over it in order to have a better quality of our lives going forward. So until next time, for El Rachmani, this is Conscious Kurt with another edition of For the Birds. Take care, God bless, and whether you're single or with your significant other on Valentine's Day, make sure, more importantly, that you are happy with yourself, because if you're not happy with yourself and still with somebody else anyway, that kind of shit, among many other forms of toxicness, is for the birds. Happy Valentine's Day, guys.